Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about introduction of taxonomy. So in this topic we are going to discuss about what is taxonomy, history of taxonomy, different types of taxonomy, different identification methods used in plant taxonomy, the vegetative characters, reproductive characters which are used for identification of plant species, different classification systems, and nomenclature system used in taxonomy. So let's see first what is taxonomy. So taxonomy is defined as it is a branch of botany which deals with study of identification, classification and nomenclature of the plant species. While in other way, the taxonomy is defined as it is a lawful arrangement of the plant species. The lawful arrangement means arrangement of the plant species into different taxonomic categories like kingdom, division, subdivision, class, order, family, genus, species, and variety. So this type of arrangement of the plant species is known as lawful arrangement. So the taxonomy is defined in two ways. In that, the first one is it is the branch of botany which deals with study of identification, classification and nomenclature of the plant species, and in other way the taxonomy is known as it is a lawful arrangement of the plant species. Then next we see the history of taxonomy. As we know that Theophilus, he is known as the father of botany. During his lifespan, he deals with large number of plants and arrange that plants into different groups. While Linnaeus, he is known as the father of taxonomy. So there are lots of scientists who gives their contribution in the field of taxonomy. So let's see one by one. So the scientist Pliny in his book Historia Naturalis wrote about information of the medicinal plants. Then the scientist Albert Mangus, he is the person who distinguished the dicot plants from the monocot plants depending upon their anatomical characters. The next scientist, that is Otto Bornfels, he divides plants on the basis of presence or absence of the flowers. The next scientist, that is Germone Bock, he classified all the plant species depending upon their habit. Means whether the plants they are herbs one, shrub or they are trees one. Then the scientist Andrea Cisalpino, he wrote about 16 volumes on the plant depending upon their habit. Means he in his 16 volumes he include all the herb, shrub and tree members and formulate one book called as De Plantalis. Then the scientist Jean Bahuyan, he wrote an illustrated book called as an Historia Plantarum, and in his book he gives information of about 5,000 plants. So in that 5,000 plants he illustrated about 3,000 plant species. Then the next scientist, that is J. Bohyan, he wrote a book called as An Introduction to the Botany, and he included about 6,000 species in his book. Then the next scientist, that is M.D. Lobius, he is the person who differentiate the monocot and dicot plants on the basis of their leaf characters. Then the scientist Robert Marison. He wrote a book called as Plantarum Historia Universalis and differentiate the woody plants from the herbaceous one. Then the scientist John Ray, he divided the plant kingdom into two groups, that is herbae and herbivores. So under the herbae, he included all the non-flowering plants, while in herbivores, he included all the flowering plants from dicot and monocot. Then the next scientist, that is J.P.D. Thornfront. So he is the person who divides the plant on the basis of presence and absence of the petals. Then next, the scientist Camarius, he is the person who practically demonstrates the sexuality in flowering plants. So, along with this, there are lots of scientists who gives their contribution in the field of taxonomy by formulating different classification systems, like the scientists A.P. de Candolle, Robert Brown, John Lindahl, Hofmeister, Bentham and Hooker, Hutchinson, Igler and Prandtl, Cronquist, Dr. John Dahlgrens and Thorne. So next we see what are the types of taxonomy. So taxonomy, it is basically divided into three types, that is alpha taxonomy, beta taxonomy and gamma taxonomy. So let's see one by one what is the difference in between three. So alpha taxonomy, it is also known as a descriptive taxonomy because it is based on the morphological characters. Then the next type of taxonomy, it is called as an beta taxonomy. It is also called as an macro taxonomy. So in this taxonomy, there is arrangement of plant species into a hierarchical system. Means in this type of taxonomy, the plants are arranged according to their taxonomic categories. Means like kingdom, subkingdom, division, subdivision, class, subclass, order, suborder, family, genus and species. So this type of arrangement, it is included under the beta taxonomy. Then next comes, that is gamma taxonomy. So this type of taxonomy, it deals with the evolutionary characters, or it deals with the phylogenetic traits, which include different evolutionary traits, how the classification systems are going to be changed according to evolution, how there is a change in arrangement of taxa and the description of taxa. So in simple way, if we want to remember that three types, so remember that alpha taxonomy, it is based on the morphological characters. Beta taxonomy, it deals with arrangement of plant species into a hierarchical systems, and the gamma taxonomy is the taxonomy which deals with the phylogenetic, or you can say the evolutionary traits. So these are the three types of taxonomy. Then next we see what are the different identification methods which are included under the taxonomy. So basically, whenever we are going to identify the particular plant, so there are two types of methods which are used for identification, that is the direct method of identification and indirect method of identification. So let's see what is the difference in between these two. So in direct system of identification, or it is a method in which there is direct comparison of a plant species along with the available herbarium or along with the photograph. So clearly, if we want to identify a particular plant, we have to compare our plant along with the herbarium which we have available, or either the herbarium which is stored in different herbaria, or we have to compare our plant material along with the photograph which we have available. So by comparing all the morphological characters, we can conclude that what is the particular plant species which we have. So if we use the herbarium or photographs for identification of the plant species, then that method it is called as a direct method of identification, while in indirect method of identification, we are going to use different types of keys, all the available literature in the form of flora, revisions, books, monograms, and different dictionaries. But basically, whenever we are going to follow the indirect method, we are going to use the types of keys. So let's we see what are the different types of keys by using which we are going to identify a particular plant species. So earlier there are main two types of keys which are available one. So the earlier key it is known as an punch card keys. So in that punch card keys, the main character of that particular family it is written in the corner of that cards. So that method it is called as an punch card key, and later on this concept was changed, and next type of key which come forward that is known as an dichotomous key. So under that dichotomous key there are two characters, and this dichotomous key again get fragmented into two types, that is the bracketed key and indented key. So let's we see the difference in between the bracketed key and indented key. So if you observe here, see that these are the different characters which we are going to use for identification of particular type of plant species. So see here, the first character is Gynoecium of free carpels and carpels many, and the second one, the character is Gynoecium is united with united carpels and carpels solitary. So what happens? What happens in bracketed key? Whenever two opposite characters they are close to each other, then that type of key it is known as an bracketed key. While exactly opposite to the bracketed key, the next key called as an indented key. So if you observe here, so see here the first character and the first character. So these two opposite characters, they are far from each other in the indented key. So this is the main difference you have to remember. What is bracketed key? Whenever two opposite characters, they are close to each other, then that type of key is recognized as bracketed key. And whenever two opposite characters, they are far from each other, that type of key is recognized as an indented key. So next we see what are the different classification systems. So earlier we have know that the first classification system it is the two kingdom system, then three kingdom system, then after evolution the five kingdom system, and then after the lots of changes in the classification have made, and the three system of classification put forward, that is the artificial system of classification, natural system of classification, and phylogenetic system of classification. So in that artificial system of classification, this system was proposed by scientist Linnaeus, and this system of classification is based on few arbitrary characters. So what is that few arbitrary characters? Means this system of classification it includes only some of the characters. For example, Linnaeus he is going to classify the plants depending only on their habit. So whether the plants are herbs, shrub, trees or climbers, so according to that one he is going to divide the plants. But it is not possible that to include all the plants under the category of their habit. So, the next system of classification is proposed called as a natural system of classification. And this system of classification is initiated by Adamson and successfully is used by the Bentham and Hooker. So this system of classification is based on the morphological and reproductive characters. And this natural system of classification is mostly accepted system of classification. And then the next system of classification called as an phylogenetic system of classification, which is based on the evolutionary characters. So remember this one. Artificial system of classification is proposed by Linnaeus and which is based on few arbitrary characters. Then the natural system of classification, it is initiated by Adamson and put forward or successfully used by the Bentham and Hooker, which is based on all the morphological characters. And the phylogenetic system of classification, it is based on the evolutionary characters. Then next we see about the nomenclature system in the taxonomy. So what is the nomenclature? So it is simply an assigning a correct name to the plants. So what happens before this nomenclature system? All the plants, they have the vernacular names. Then why this system of nomenclature comes? Because all the plants which are available in the world, they doesn't have the vernacular names. Or if the vernacular names are available, then there might be confusion in between their names. So to avoid all that confusion, the next system of nomenclature comes, and that system is known as binomial nomenclature. So why it is called as a binomial nomenclature? Because it includes two names, that is, first name it is called as a genus name, and the second name it is called as a species name. So this genus and species name, it has some peculiar characters, or if a particular plant it shows a specific character, so that specific character of that plant species, it must included under the genus or the species name. For example, if I take an example of Vigna trilobata, so what comes? Trilobata means it shows the presence of 3 leaves. Then if I use the name Alba, so it has a specific meaning, that is white. The meaning of Alba is white. Or if I include the name that is Vigna Kokanensis, so this is the species which is restricted to the Konkan region. That's why it has the name that is Vigna Kokanensis. So this type of nomenclature, it is known as binomial nomenclature, and it is governed by ICBN. ICBN means International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. And this system, it is published by IAPT. Then next we see in detail about the identification. So whenever we want to identify a particular plant species, so we must know about all their morphological characters. So what are the morphological characters which are included under that one? So the vegetative characters and reproductive characters, they comes under the morphology. So under the vegetative characters, the plant shows their habit, type of root system, stem and leaves. Under the reproductive characters, what are the different types of inflorescence, type of flower, androecium, gynoecium, and the type of fruit. So let's see first about the vegetative characters. So whenever we are going to identify a particular plant, we must know about their vegetative and reproductive characters. Then we are going to correct identify that particular plant species. So under the vegetative characters, the first one is habit, and all the plants in the world, they comes under herb, shrub, tree, climber or lianas. So let's see what are the herb species, or it is called as an herbaceous species. So this one, it is also called as an leafy plants which can grow up to 2 to 3 feet. So this one, they are categorized under the herb. The next one, these are the shrubs. These shrubs, they are also known as in bushy plants which can grow up to 6 to 8 meter tall. Then next category called as an trees. Trees are the species which can grow up to 2 meters or more than that. Then next category under the habit is climbers. So climber means these are the plant species which shows presence of delicate stem. It is a herbaceous one and which shows presence of tendril. So that one, it is called as an climber. For example, family Cucurbitaceae. Then next comes liana. So liana means it is a woody climber. So if you observe here the difference in the stem, so under the climbers you are going to see that the stem is green. Okay, it is delicate one and it is herbaceous one. While if you observe the lianas, see the stem, it is completely woody one. Okay, so this is the difference in between the liana and climbers. Then the next category which comes under the vegetative character, that is the root system. So the plant shows main two types of system, that is the taproot system and adventitious root system. Then this taproot system is further get divided into fibrous root system and tuberous root system. So if you observe the difference in between these two pictures, you are going to recognize that what is the difference. So see here, this one is the main stem which main root which shows presence of lateral roots, and then it can form the root hairs. But if you observe the adventitious root system, it is completely different one. So this tap root system, it is basically observed in the dicotyledonous plant, while the adventitious root system, it is observed in the monocot plants. Then the next character which comes under the vegetative character, that is the stem. So as we know that according to habit of our plant species, either they are herb, shrub, tree or climbers. But whenever we are going to describe the stem which is observed in shrub, tree or liana members, then we have to describe the stem in that one. It is hard, woody, erect, cylindrical and branched one. If we want to describe the stem of herb or climbing plant species, then we have to describe it as soft, delicate, coiled. In some of the plant species, the stem shows presence of hairs, then we call it as an hairy. And if the hairs are absent, it is called as an glabrous. So most of the climbing plant species on their stem, they show presence of hairs, or some of the herbaceous species also, they show presence of hairs on their stem. Then next we see the next character which comes under the vegetative character, that is the leaves. So whenever we are going to describe the leaves, first we have to know that, or first we have to describe that whether they have the stem, whether they show presence of stalk. If the stalk is present to the leaf, then they are called as an petiolate, and if the stalk is absent, it is called as an sessile. Then next one, whether the leaves are stipulate one or ex-stipulate one. Stipulate means if a small leaf-like portion it is present at the base of the leaf, it is called as an stipule. So presence of stipule, it is the characteristic feature of some of the plant families. So next character which comes under the leaves is whether the leaves are simple one, compound one or pinnately compound one. Then what are the types of margins of that leaves, whether they shows presence of entire margins. For example, you can take an example of citrus, or whether the margins are seriate one. For example, you can take an example of Azada erecta indica, they have the seriate leaves. Then about the leaf apex, so leaf apex it is either blunt or mucronant. Mucronant means if a small needle-like portion it is present at the apex of leaf, it is called as an mucronant. Some of the leaf apex is acuminate. So these are the different types of leaf apex. Then whether the leaf is hairy one or glabrous one, whether it is gland dotted one. Basically those plant species which can give the fragrance, all of them on the dorsal side of leaf. If you observe under the light, you are going to observe that they show presence of either yellowish or reddish gland dots which stores the essential oil. Then the shape of leaf, then the phyllotaxy of leaf. Phyllotaxy of leaf means how the leaves are arranged, whether they are going to arranged oppositely or alternatively, or whether they have the decussate phyllotaxy. So it comes under the phyllotaxy, that is the arrangement of leaves. Then about the venation means whether our leaf shows presence of reticulate venation or parallel venation. So this reticulate venation it is observed in the dicots, while parallel venation it is observed in the monocots. So see here, this is a simple leaf, this is the pinnately compound leaf, and this one is the palmately compound leaves. So next comes after the vegetative characters, that is the reproductive characters. And under the reproductive characters, whenever we are going to identify a particular plant species, we must know about the type of inflorescence, characteristic of the flower, androecium, gynoecium, and type of fruit. So here in the inflorescence, there are different types of inflorescence which are present to the plant species, but basically two main types of inflorescence, that is racemose and cymose. So racemose type of inflorescence means here the younger flowers are present at the top and older flowers at the base. So this type of inflorescence is known as racemose type of inflorescence. While exactly opposite to raceme, cymose type of inflorescence. Here the younger flowers they are present at the base and older flowers they are present at the apex. This spike type of inflorescence means here the flowers are sessile one. The spikelet type of inflorescence is observed in the Gramineaceae family member. Then catkin type of inflorescence means it is like a cat tail, for example Acalypha. Then the corium type of inflorescence, solitary means single flower, you can take an example of hibiscus. Then umbel type of inflorescence, helicoid, spadix, verticillaster, for example ocimum. Then xanthium and hypanthodium. So these are the different types of inflorescence which are observed in the plant species. See here, this is the racemose type of inflorescence. So if you observe here, these are the young flowers which is at the apex and the older flower at the base. Then the spike type of inflorescence, see here, this red color, these are the flowers, but they are sessile one. Then this is the corimbose type of inflorescence. So see that this is the peduncle, and each flower it get originate from the different axis. So here the axis is different, so that one it is called as an corimbose type of inflorescence. If you observe here, this is an umbel type of inflorescence. See here, all these flowers they are originating from a single point. So this is the difference in between corimbose and umbel. Umbel have a single origin, while the corimbose type of inflorescence, each flower has originate from different axis. Then this is called as an flat umbel, and this one is the round umbel, depending upon the arrangement. Then this is the head type of inflorescence. For example, you can take an example of Tridex. Then this is the panicle type of inflorescence. So these are the various types of inflorescence. So these are the variations which are observed under the umbel and corimbose type of inflorescence. The next character which comes under the reproductive character, that is the flower. And whenever we are going to describe a particular flower, we must know whether the flower has the stalk. If it has the stalk, it is called as an pedicellate, and if the stalk is absent, it is called as an sessile. Then whether the flower show presence of bract, then it is called as an bracteate. If the bracts are absent, they are called as an ebracteate. Then whether the flower shows presence of bracteoles, then whether the flower is complete one. Complete means if the flower show presence of all the four orals, that is calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, then it is called as an complete one. And if any one of the oral it is absent, it is called as an incomplete flower. Then whether the flower is bisexual one, means whether the flower show presence of androecium or gynoecium. If both the sex organs are present, it is called as an bisexual. And if only one sex organ is present, either androecium or gynoecium, then it is called as an unisexual one. Then about the arrangement of flower. So depending upon the arrangement of four orals, the flower is going to categorize under the hypogynous, epigynous or perigynous one. Then next, whether the flower is actinomorphic or zygomorphic one. So what is the difference in between actinomorphic and zygomorphic? So if we cut the flower in any plane, it will give two equal parts. This type it is called as an actinomorphic. And if we cut flower in only a one plane, then it can use only two equal parts, then this is called as an zygomorphic one. See that this is the types of flower. So if you observe this one in the hypogynous, so see that this calyx, corolla, androecium, they are originating from the base of ovary. So this type of arrangement of flower is called as an hypogynous. Then next comes perigynous. So in that perigynous, what happens? The two orals they are originating from the base and two from the or two above the ovary. So here that type of arrangement it is called as an perigynous flower. And under the epigynous flower, see here ovary is inside and all the orals they are originating above the ovary. This type of arrangement is called as an epigynous flower. Then about the calyx, whenever we are going to describe the calyx, first we know how many number of calyx are present in that particular flower. Then whether the calyx is free one, means whether it is polysepalous or whether it is fused one, it is gamosepalous. Then about the estivation, whether the calyx they are arranged, they show presence of twisted, imbricate, quincuncial or velvet estivation. Then whether the calyx is hairy or glabrous one. So these are the characters of the calyx. Then next comes corolla. Then we have to know how many number of corolla, they are present on the flower. Then whether they are free one or fused one. If they are free, it is called as an polypetalous. If they are fused, they are called as an gamopetalous. Then once again, the estivation is whether they show presence of twisted, imbricate, quinquential or velvet estivation. Then next comes the types of estivation. So see here, these are the types of estivation. So if you observe here, so here the petals, or you can say the sepals, they are in front of each other. So that type of arrangement, it is called as an velvet estivation. See this one, this is called as an contracted, or you can say the twisted estivation. Here each of the sepal, or you can say each of the petal, it is alternating with each other. Means one end it is inside and other it is outside. So this type it is called as an contracted or twisted one. The next one's estivation is imbricate. So see here one petal or one sepal, it is completely outside while remaining all they are alternate with each other. Then in the quinquential, one oral it is completely outside, one it is completely inside, and remaining they are alternating with each other. While in vexillary type, for example, family Papilionaceae or the family Orchidaceae. Here one petal it is or one oral it is completely enlarged one, and all remaining they are inside to that large petal. So this type of arrangement it is called as an vexillary type of estivation. The next comes the androecium. Then while describing the androecium, we must know how many number of androeciums or anthers they are present. Then whether they are free one. If they are free, it is called as an apocarpus, and if they are fused, it is called as an syncarpus. Then whether they are monoadelphous one or diadelphous one. So see here, this one is the monoadelphous condition. Here all the anthers they are present in a single group. Then the diadelphous condition means, see here, 9 anthers they are present in bunch or they are fused, while single it is free one. So they are in two groups. So this type of condition it is called as an diadelphous. So this condition it is called as an polyadelphous. Then next comes syngamy. So see here the filaments are free, but the anthers are attached to each other. And the next condition, that is the synandrous condition. So here the anthers as well as their filaments they are fused one. So this type of condition it is called as an synandrous condition. Then next about the gynoecium. So in that we have to know that how many number of carpels are present, then whether they are free one or fused one. So here while describing free one, you have to write it is apo, or if they are fused, it is called as an syncarpus. Then ovary is superior or inferior one. So remember that if our flower is hypogynous one, then ovary is always superior. And whenever our flower is either epigynous or perigynous, then the ovary is inferior one. Then next we have to know about their placentation, means whether they show presence of axile, parietal, basal, pendular type of estivation. So see here the types of placentation. Placentation means how the placenta is attached to the ovary. So this type it is called as a marginal placentation, in which the placenta it is attached to the margins of ovary wall. For example, pea plant or the pea pod. Then the parietal placentation, see here the attachment of placenta, for example cucurbitaceae. Then the axile placentation, for example you can take an example of tomato. So this plant show presence of axile placentation, means placenta it is attached centrally. Then this one it is called as an free central. means here there is no proper attachment of this ovule. So this one it is called as an free central, and the last one is the basal. Whenever the placenta is attached to the base of ovule, it is called as an basal placentation. So next comes under the reproductive character, that is about the types of fruit. So basically the fruits they are going to categorize under the three types, that is simple fruits, complex fruits and aggregate fruits. So see that these are the examples of simple, aggregate, multiple or complex fruit. So this is all about what are the different characters which are included for identification of particular plant species, the taxonomy, types of taxonomy, and different methods of identification, classification, and nomenclature. So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe my channel. Thank you.